Hey guys, this is Jenny, and I'm going to share a new layout for the Crafters Workshop I did. This is a very quick video because there's a lot of sort of repetitive things I cut out, and mostly because it really isn't that complicated, and I knew kind of what I wanted to do. I started out with this 12 by 12 template that's one of my absolute favorites. It's just great for texture, and the it's called tiny circles, or just a nice small size. So I misted that with some Heidi Swap Color Shine in a couple different colors and set that off to dry. Then I used this 12 by 12 of the Cabbage roses and several different colors of distress inks, and used them to just color all of the roses in. I used a lighter color, and then I kind of darkened it up around the edges or where I thought the darker petals would be. And I did them in shades of pinks and then in sort of shades of peaches as well. I knew I wanted to cut these out and use them sort of the way you would have floral die cuts these days underneath my photo, and I just thought I would make my own like this. So and I love using distress inks or other inks with these, especially these more intricate stencils, because they work so well and they really capture every little tiny one of the little lines that are in the stencil. So that's usually more likely to use inks for that instead of maybe mist, because it might bleed. On the base one, on the background, it was a perfect texture. That's what I really liked, but I wanted this to be much clearer. So I set those aside while I cleaned up my template here real quick, and I went ahead and cut these out just real quickly so I could use the rest of the paper to do the leaves. So I used just a couple different colors, one that's not a distress ink and another Lawn Fawn ink, to do the same thing, color the leaves in like a lighter color, and then darkened it up along the edges. Once I got those done, I went back to the roses and cut them all out. And I did fussy cut them all out, and I cut out of the video the majority of that because it's kind of boring and there's no reason to see all of that. But I left a little bit of a border around each one of the pieces, about the same size as that are part of the leaf veins or the flower petals. And I really enjoy doing that, so it didn't really bother me that much. I think it's kind of therapeutic. So and I didn't use all of them, but I used the majority of them, and what I didn't use there I might use for a card or something else. So you can see me start one of the flowers here, and I'll just do a couple so you can see kind of what I did, and then I skip over that so you can get to the rest of the video. I think this is one of the flowers that I didn't end up using. I think it's got a great shape for doing just a single sort of rose with the stem, so I thought it might be better to use that by itself and then have these other ones kind of layered underneath the photo. So now you can see I've got them all cut out, and then I'm going to kind of decide how I'm going to layer everything on my paper. I have this photo from these little rocks that we have that have words on them, and it's under a tree, a very special cherry tree that we planted, and it's about 6 years old now, the tree is, and so it's kind of something we take a picture of every spring and see how it's grown. And I love the base of this, and I thought it would be a nice thing to use these other templates with that are the word templates. So anyway, I took a quick picture of that with my phone so I would kind of remember where I put all those flowers. Then I took both of these, the 6 by 6 and the 12 by 12 Doodling template. It's the word association and the mini word association, and I just used the love and just a plain white modeling paste, and did the larger one and the smaller one just randomly around the page. It's very subtle. It's kind of a little bit hard to see on video, and it is subtle on the page itself in real life, but it it just adds a little bit of contrast, and I didn't want to take away too much from the flowers and everything else, but I kind of liked having that extra word, the words back there. I did use gold on this one little piece at the bottom there for time. Then my page warped just a little bit from all of the mist, so I mounted it onto another piece of, it's actually kind of a scrap background piece of a wood grain that's from crepe paper. It's an old piece I've had. And once I got that on there, because it was already cut off, and I kind of wanted to do something a little bit off center since I knew I wasn't going to center my photograph, I had the background paper at the bottom right corner to kind of just make a border on that right side. So then I'm going to try to remember how it was I had the flowers there to begin with. My camera started to tilt, so that's kind of why it looks like it's starting to go sideways. And so after I figure out where those are going to be, I just adhere them down with a little bit of glue, and then I popped my picture up onto three-dimensional adhesive. I knew I was going to use my sewing machine, so that's why I really wasn't too worried about all of the leaves and every little bit being adhered down. So I went ahead and added some little stickers and a couple little phrase stickers around the page to just sort of bring your eye around, some of this black to kind of bring out some of the dark, and then I went back and sewed everything on before I glued my photograph down, or before I attached it, since it's kind of popped up a bit. So I fiddle with this a good bit, putting these little stickers on. And then I think I've already sewn it there. I have. So you can see, it's hard to see there, you'll see it in the close-up. So I went ahead and adhered the picture, and I had used a little stamp, roller stamp. Then I used some scratch paper to cover up my picture, and used some gold Liquitex paint to just add some little droplets all around the picture. I thought about kind of spreading those around and really using the love stencil word as a resist, but I really didn't want to take too much away from it, so I kind of pulled back and made myself stop and added a little bit of journaling, and that is pretty much it. This was a pretty fast layout for me. It maybe took about an hour, and because I kind of did things in shifts, there really wasn't too much dry time, so it went well, and that's kind of a rarity these days. But anyway, you can see the stills here, and then the full layout at the end. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you go to the Crafters Workshop blog to check out the links to the stencils and all of the supplies that will be listed below here as well. Thanks a lot. Bye.